Hello, this is Bill Zoller with the lifestyle-interventions.com website, and today we have a wellness moment about the topic of optimal nutrition. What a huge topic area this is, and the reason we're mentioning it today is because we continue to have a rather dramatic epidemic of disease in this country in terms of heart disease and cancer and diabetes and Alzheimer's disease and autoimmune disorders and on and on. And so it appears clearly that what we're eating and drinking every day is a primary factor in this whole issue of our disease epidemic. I wanted to start with a couple of words about fiber, dietary fiber. The plant foods that we eat, very important, critically important, to help us prevent constipation, to help sidestep bowel cancers, and to improve our cholesterol levels, to improve the functioning of our immune system, and to keep our blood sugar under control. So fiber is critically important. Next, I wanted to mention a couple of things about protein. Now, this culture of ours is having a tango about the whole issue of protein. Protein this, protein that. How much protein am I getting? Am I getting enough? I think it's a false issue. If you would like to have some accurate, solid information about protein, please read the book by Dr. Garth Davis titled Proteinaholic, a great book, well referenced and by an expert in the field. Keep in mind that all protein originally comes from plant foods. Consider this, an elephant is a huge, strong animal. What do they eat? They don't eat pork chops. They eat grass, basically, and maybe some other plants. The science is crystal clear that consuming animal-based proteins poses a lot of risk because it's loaded with toxins. It has no healing plant compounds in it. It has no fiber. The animal products contain no fiber. And so we really caution about this, and we really advocate consuming a plant-based eating plan. We'll refer to that more in just a minute. I wanted to make a comment about cells in our body. Cells in our body need protein and carbohydrate in order to function. The protein in the cells supervise the cell chemical factories. The proteins supervise the cell chemical factories. Carbohydrates provide each of these little factories a fuel supply. This is exactly what carbohydrate does in the body. It provides fuel for us. The basic building blocks of carbohydrates are sugars like glucose, fructose, and sucrose. Glucose molecules produce both starch and cellulose. They are very important in many functions in our body. They help us to store energy. Starches store energy in the cells, while cellulose, also made by glucose, cellulose is a main fiber source that helps to stiffen the structure of the plant. So at the cellular level, carbohydrate and protein are working together to get their very important jobs done. Keep in mind that in terms of plant-based foods, complex carbohydrates are hugely good for us, help to prevent disease, and provide us a great source of plant nutrients called phytonutrients. Phyto simply means P-H-Y-T-O simply means plant. So these are chemical plant compounds. We have tens of thousands of them in the plant foods that we're eating. Things like flavonoids and anthocyanins and polyphenols and on. And they provide us with vitality, with good health. They help to keep our immune system healthy, and they make an incredible contribution to preventing most of these chronic diseases. Next, I wanted to mention just briefly a comment about motivation and skill sets. The point I want to make is that it takes more than motivation to set up and participate in an optimal nutrition plan for the rest of our lives. That's really what we think people need to be doing. It takes more than motivation. It takes some knowledge and some skill. I call these skill sets. So here's the deal. A lifestyle factor is kind of a broad concept, and I might take on a lifestyle factor like eat healthy. I need to eat healthy. That's a pretty broad concept. Under that lifestyle factor, we can have a number of skill sets, that's specific ideas and actions that help us to stay healthy. So a skill set might be something like I want to negotiate restaurants in a way that helps me handle temptation and keeps me from overeating. And so steps toward that might be something like reminding myself of what foods are good for me, what is not good for me, what foods are loaded with calories, and what foods are not. And I might engage in some self-talk. Now, let's not overeat, and so on. Another skill set might be about learning to read food labels, and making good food selection choices, and being able to cook tasty, healthy food. Okay, now I want to just mention something about genetics. Telomeres, they are the end caps on our chromosomes. We are interested in the length of the telomere because a longer telomere indicates longer life and less disease, whereas a shorter telomere indicates that you may not be living all that long, and that might be because of some medical conditions and some unhealthy lifestyle behaviors. So the interesting thing about telomeres is that the length of them is to a significant degree under our control according to how we live and what lifestyle behaviors that we have. So what should we be eating? We advocate, I alluded to this earlier, eating plant-based foods and eating things like fruits and vegetables and legumes, beans, and whole grains. We think these are very healthy foods. I personally attempt every day to eat 8 to 12 servings of whole plant foods. And this is not really a big deal because a serving of nuts is 1 ounce. A serving of most foods is 1 cup. A cup is not a lot. And so it really is not difficult to do that. I would have at least 3 servings of fruit in the morning before I run, and then I'll go on from there. And it's a very doable thing, and that's what we recommend. If we are on a plant-based eating plan, we're going to be able to achieve optimal health. Be sure that if you're a vegetarian, you supplement with vitamin B12. And a particular type of vitamin B12 I recommend is methylcobalamin. Methylcobalamin, not the others. There's about 4 types of B12. Be sure to do that. Yo-yo dieting. We are not in favor of diets. The inference is I'm going to go on a diet, which is a temporary eating plan in order to accomplish something or other. And what happens in most of the cases is people then slip back into unhealthy eating. And so we want to resolve that unhealthy eating issue by taking on a lifelong task of eating only healthy foods and drinking only healthy drinks, and to do this for the rest of our lives, not on and off of different eating plans. Yo-yo dieting is not healthy. A word about food addictions, very important information here. The processed food manufacturers are employing PhD level scientists to determine the exact amounts of fat and sugar and salt in a processed food that gets us hooked. And these scientists are going to the extent of doing brain MRIs to determine the amount of this fat and sugar and sodium that lights up the pleasure centers in the brain to create hyperpalatability. Hyperpalatability is just a fancy term for something that tastes so intensely good that we get hooked on it. It is not a natural kind of food at all, and it is not good for us. Finally, a word about fasting. Fasting is wonderful for us. We urge people to fast. One of the simplest fasts is simply to eat nothing between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. So there you have a 12-hour period of kind of a mini fast. We think is very good for us. So you can have a water fast or a juice fast, which can be excellent for you, maybe a day or two or perhaps longer. But please know this, if you're going to fast, be sure to check with your healthcare provider because there are many medically related issues that can be affected by not eating solid food. Finally, wanted to mention that on our website we have a companion article about optimal nutrition that includes 24 optimal nutrition guidelines. Very interesting article. We urge you to take a look at that, and we thank you for being with us today.